Hello friends, welcome to Communication Skills for Everyone. In this channel you are going to learn English language skills, personality development, vocabulary and all-round development. Welcome to Communication Skills for Everyone. Today let's learn what is Thanksgiving Day. Thanksgiving Day is a national holiday celebrated primarily in the United States of America. Fourth Thursday of every November, Thanksgiving Day is celebrated in USA. Why do they celebrate? Otherwise, we can say historically, Thanksgiving Day is a very special holiday. People gather with families to eat a traditional Thanksgiving dinner of roast turkey and talk of old times. This is the custom remind of the people of ancient celebrations of harvest and thankfulness for peace. Especially this is celebrated the Native Americans. To carry on these traditions, Old Pete took a seat this day on his usual bench in Union Square every Thanksgiving Day for last 9 years. Pete had taken this same seat exactly at 1 o'clock, and each time the same pleasant thing had happened. But this time Pete had come here from habit than from hunger. Certainly, today, Pete was not hungry. He had just had a dinner so enormous that he could hardly breathe. So the buttons on his ragged shirt and coat were about to burst. He was so full of soup, oysters, roast turkey, apple pie, ice cream, and a dozen other rich foods that the November breeze and the first nightfall of snow felt cool and pleasant to his face. The meal had been completely unexpected. He had been passing one of the large homes on Fifth Avenue where two rich old ladies lived. It was their custom each, so Thanksgiving, to place their servant at the front entrance with orders to bring in the first hungry looking person that passed. Once this Pete was inside the room, so on that particular day Pete was that person. So the servant brought him in, and before he knew it, Pete was being served like a king with more food than he could eat. Pete sat on the bench now, hardly able to move. He looked to the left, and there in the distance he saw the old gentleman coming towards him. He wanted to get up and run, but he was so full of food he stayed right there. Every Thanksgiving Day for 9 years, the old gentleman had come there and found Pete on his same bench, and then taken him to a restaurant and bought him a Thanksgiving dinner. It was a kind of tradition which the old gentleman, who had no family or he lived alone, had tried to continue. The old man was tall and thin and 60 years old. The whole dresses in black. So how do you do? Said the old gentleman. I'm glad to see that the changes of another year have permitted you to move in health through this beautiful world. Each time the old gentleman had said exactly the same thing. It was part of their tradition. Pete too began to feel as though he himself was now a part of tradition, and he therefore did not have the courage to tell the old man that he had already eaten. This dinner seemed to mean so much to the old gentleman. Thank you, sir, said Pete at last. I will go with gladly. I am very hungry, sir. Together, the old gentleman and Pete walked south to the same restaurant where each year Pete had his Thanksgiving dinner. They sat on the same table. The old gentleman seemed pleased and happy when the waiter brought dish after dish of food to Pete. The old gentleman sat quietly and smiled. smile. Under the circumstances, Pete had to eat. It was part of the tradition. So he ate like a hero. Soup, oysters, roast turkey, apple pie. He ate everything. Although when he entered the restaurant, even the smell of more food almost made him sick. At last, Pete leaned back with a battle wine. "Thank you, sir," he said, with some effort, "for a fine dinner." He parted as did each ear at the door. The old gentleman going south, Pete north. Around the corner, Pete stopped for a moment, felt a terrible pain in his stomach, and fell on the sidewalk unconscious. A little later, an ambulance came. In the hospital, they discovered that he had had an attack of indigestion. So, an hour later, another ambulance brought the old gentleman to the same hospital. At first, they thought it was also indigestion, but later, one of the nurses said, "That nice old gentleman over there think that it was a case of starvation. Proud old family, I suppose. He told me that he hadn't eaten a thing for 3 days." So this move to the comprehension questions. Where is Thanksgiving Day holiday? It's in USA. What do people do on Thanksgiving Day? What was the custom of the two rich old ladies? So heroes of whom did Pete see in the distance coming toward him? What had the old gentleman done for the past 9 years? It's the same tradition, it's doing it. What did the old man say to Pete? What happened to the gentleman later? What did the nurse say about the old gentleman? Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Communication skills for everyone.